Hi everybody, this is Dr. Cook. What I would like to do in this video is to go over the requirements for the Persuasive Research Report Proposal Memo. So there are a couple places that you need to start with first. So the first place we need to go to is week 8 because that's where we introduce the project. And then you're going to look for the Persuasive Research Report, which is 8.1, and then open up the guidelines. And if we scroll down to Proposal Memo. So here it says you will write a proposal memo requesting permission to continue with your topic of research. For this assignment, you will need to submit 2 items by the date due. All right, so one of the items is going to be the actual proposal memo itself, and the second item is going to be a list of your sources. So content of the memo. This is short yet detailed memo should be written in first person and provide the following information. First paragraph. Introduce the purpose. You should state that you are submitting this memo for permission to proceed with your topic for your research report. Be sure to explain clearly what the topic will be and why you have chosen it. Remember, it must relate to your major, technology, or college life and include a sentence that says, my thesis will be, and then write out your thesis statement. So in the previous video, we talked about having a claim, having evidence, and coming up with a thesis statement. So now you want to put all of this together and put this into your proposal memo. The middle paragraphs are going to present the details. It says the focus of your report should be very clear. Therefore, state 4 to 6 headings or supporting ideas. So you're going to have 4 to 6 reasons to back up what your argument is, and each of those is going to be a separate section of your paper and a separate heading of your paper. It says this paragraph will be the longest, and you should give details and explanations of what you will research and write about. So you need to say, for instance, whatever your first bullet point is or your first piece of evidence, what it is that you're going to write about. You're going to bring in some information about the sources, and you're going to include the sources in parenthetical citations as to some of the basic information that's going to be covered in that paper. You're not writing fully about the topic, but you're just giving a very brief overview of the reason, but bringing in some of the research to show that this was well researched and not just your opinion. The last paragraph discusses concerns, asks questions, or includes a neutral statement. It should indicate if there are any problems. Finally, you need to state why you are researching the topic. Why you're researching the topic is important. And I did talk about this briefly when we were going over the thesis statement. At the end of the thesis statement, you need to basically say why we should care about your topic. Why is this topic important? So the other information you're going to include is at the back of the proposal memo. You're going to have at least six to eight sources that meet the requirements that we talked about. In other words, they should be from the database, mostly from the database. And you can use SIRS, and you can use Statista, EBSCOhost, but they should generally be database articles. Because you're online, you're not going to submit the article individually. What I do want you to do is to write about, give me an APA format, the source, and then again a brief paragraph as to how that helps your position. What evidence do you find in that source that's going to help? So if your first article is going to support the evidence for bullet point number 2, you need to state what the heading is for bullet point number 2 and show how, in a paragraph, how that article is going to help you. It should be somewhat detailed, so we're talking anywhere between 50 and 100 words. It shouldn't be just 1 or 2 sentences. The second place to look is actually this week under week 10, where it says Proposal Memo. And the first thing that I want to look at is the Proposal Memo format. So you'll notice, because this is a memo, you have a to, from, subject, and date. Everybody should have this information in his or her proposal memo. You will be then saying Dr. Cook, and you will be putting your name in there. The subject is whatever it is that you're arguing, and of course you're going to put in today's date. So this is the language that was taken directly off of the guidelines about the first paragraph, so I'm not even going to kind of refer to that anymore. But you will notice then we've given you an example. So the first heading, for example, would be low morale. All of these are going to be the same because you are then giving details and explanations of what it is you are writing about in terms of low morale. Low morale is one of the first pieces of support for your topic. And so you're going to include some sources, some citations in this. The rest of this is title of heading number 2, number 3, number 4. All of these are the same because you're doing the same thing in every point. So you have your thesis statement, you have your 4 to 6 pieces of support or evidence that you're going to use, and then you're going to basically write a section for each of those pieces of evidence saying what it is that you've researched, what sources you're using, and what the research tells you. Finally, you have the conclusion, which is the last paragraph. This basically only talks about the format. This is not really a student sample, but it does give you an idea of how to structure your proposal memo. What I want to look now at is the actual student sample, which is the last item here. So this is an actual student paper, just change the names. So again, you have the format. Here you want to kind of model this. I'm writing this proposal memo for permission because you're asking that. You're saying why you have chosen. So all of these aspects, asking for permission, saying why you chose it, saying why it's your thesis statement, and then really talking about the importance of the subject by looking at the thesis statement and the sentence. So in the video about thesis statements, I kind of went over how to maybe build in like a sentence about the importance. The rest of this is a good example. So there are 4 areas of importance: feed a growing population and feed a growing population. And then the student writes about this subtopic, gives you a little bit of information, and here we have some of the sources that were used, or he's going to use, in the actual paper itself. Then our second topic, again, doing the same. Third topic, fourth topic, and then of course the conclusion. So use this as a model of how to structure and how to write about your actual topic. Lastly, here we just have a references page, but I do want for you to, after each article, I would like you then to write a paragraph of what that article, how that article helped you with your argument, what points did it help you with. So again, if you go all the way back to the beginning here, we see we're going to look for Hawks. So there's Hawks. So Hawks was used for low environment. So he would say basically, when talking about that article, this article was used in the section on low environmental risks, and then give a basic description of the information. I believe that's the only place that that was used. Now that it's used here as well. So wherever you use, so when you're reading your articles, you're kind of like highlighting, you're annotating the text, you're looking for what pieces of the article will help support you, which parts of the essay will it help support you in. And that's what you're going to bring in the annotated bibliography. You're going to have your source, and then you're going to say, well, I used this article, but it was useful for health benefits and environmental feeding the population, for example. So I hope this gives you a little bit more explanation as to what you're going to put in your proposal memo, how to structure it, and the various parts. Should you have any questions, then email me, but I'll be looking forward to reading your proposal memos on Sunday, and please do not forget to put in your annotated bibliography. Remember, you need 6 to 8 sources, and you are bringing those sources into your proposal memo in the various sections. Have a good week.